What is going on, guys? DBG here, and this is another episode of the series where I rate your squads. So pretty much, if you guys want me to rate your squads, I do 10 per video, and I make one of these videos per week. Tweet me at DBGYT_ with hashtag RateMyTEAM. Again, if you send it to me by DM, or if you message me on Instagram, I won't be able to put it in this video because pretty much I collect them all in one place at the same time, and it's an awful lot easier if they're all in the one place and they're all sent to me the same way. Also, I get 30-40 Twitter DMs a day. It's hard to read all of them, and also I very rarely log into my Instagram account, so it might be a week before I get back to some people on that. So so pretty much it's the easiest way. And also, I think last week was my most. I think I got 80 squads, so I did pick 10 of them. So big thanks to everyone to send them in anyway, because there's more and more people as this series is going on. But okay, so this team right here, please let me know some suggestions. Rate my team. Okay, so this team right here is LeBron, T-Mac, Rudy, Bam Adebayo, and Yao Ming. Off the bench, you got Simmons, Clay, Giannis, Weber, and Hakeem. Okay. I'm going to say this right now. Do not play Simmons and Giannis at the same time. Especially playing Hakeem at the same time as them. It is going to be zone central. Like, you've got one shooter on your bench. Yeah, Weber can hit shots, but you've got one shooter. A zone will destroy that bench lineup. Also, Yao is very slow and can be abused in pick and rolls. So, while I wouldn't necessarily tell you to make that many changes per se, I would say make sure your last three on the bench are guys that are different to players you have. So, for example, Simmons sometimes does struggle, so you definitely need a shooting point guard when you're last year off the bench. Like, I think overall this team's probably an 8 out of 10. You've got some of the best cards in the game, without question. LeBron, T-Mac, Bam Adebayo's fantastic, Rudy's fantastic, Giannis is fantastic. So there's nothing wrong with your players. It's just that this is a type of squad where if plan A doesn't work, you've got no real plan B because you just don't have enough shooters. So while definitely using a load of big bodies, and not everyone likes using shooters, that's just my preference. You need shooters at least in your last three off the bench. Run a 13-man rotation instead of a 10-man rotation. It's not going to change the overall by that much. It'll make it from 95 to like 96 or something. And he doesn't even need to be anything spectacular. Like, you could put Gerald Wallace, who's about 12 KMT. You could put in Chauncey Billups, who's about 6-7 KMT, I'd say. I have no idea. I haven't checked Billups in a while. And then last up, you should probably, because actually you do have a lot of shooting centers, because you can always play Bam Adebayo at center if you need to, or Chris Webber at center if you need to. So pretty much even someone like Ahito Turkoglu, who's relatively cheap, or Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom's actually cheap now. Just those three guys at the end of your bench, just to bring you something else, just to bring a different look to the team. And other than that, though, I think this team is really good. It's just, again, it's the type of team where, especially going up against that bench lineup, if I was playing that, I'd just zone it up. I'd zone it up and it would struggle. Fantastic defensive team, but you definitely need shooters to just to beat the guys that do decide to zone you up. Because plan A is going to win you most of your games. This is a really good team, but the lack of plan B means it's only an 8 out of 10. Okay, so I run 21 delay, find open shooters, kick, and will sell anyone if necessary. Look, this team's like an 8 out of 10 as well. This team's really good. I really like Aaron Gordon. I just think he's overpriced for what he is. And I know I might sound crazy, but honestly, I don't think he's any better than someone like a Lamar Odom, and you're saving 100k by getting Lamar Odom, as far as I know. So, yeah, Aaron Gordon is really good. I just think he is very overpriced for what he is. And I think replacing him with someone like Odom doesn't make your squad any worse. It might make it slightly bit better, and you do save 100k. Your point guard thing is fine. With Caruso, Lin, and Marbury, they're actually the 3-point guards I run, so that is perfectly fine. Ben Simmons, I don't know how I feel about Blake. I don't think Blake has much of a use on this squad, but Simmons is fine. I'd keep one of Blake or Simmons. or replace the other one with like an out and out big. Just anyone that's a legit center, because LaMarcus Aldridge can sometimes be a bit of a liability. So, but other than that, I'd say this team is like an 8.5 out of 10. Or sorry, this team is like an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. So, run pick and roll, pick and pop, or glitch with Giannis. Harden's my favorite player, so I don't really want to sell him. Any suggestions are welcome, assuming sell Giannis and Zion. Yeah, first of all, Zion needs to go. Zion needs to go. I don't really know about that. Like, if you really like that Giannis, especially because, like, he's not that expensive. I like Hito. I'm trying to think who to put in for cheap. You do only have 5k MT. Like, look, I know you said you don't really want to sell Harden, but to make the team better, like in terms of making a good squad, you probably would need to. I think as of the way the squad is right now, the squad is somewhat usable, and you don't have last 30 on your bench. Even putting in like a Mirasan, or you don't have MT like Mirasan. I don't even know who the other two players you can put in. I don't know, Ron Harper or something. Just because yeah, this team is a 6. It's a 6 out of 10. It is a 6 out of 10 team. Especially Westbrook at the 2 is not ideal either. Like, I'm not going to tell you to sell Westbrook, but if you're not going to sell Harden, maybe sell him and build your team. Or, honestly, you probably shouldn't make any... Considering you have no MT, there's no real point buying anyone yet. Wait till Friday before when the market crashes again. Right now, this is like a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 at best. Okay, so... run 13 Heat playbook, which is a lot of like screen to screener plays. Should I sell Wilt for 95 at a buy or prime KP? Okay, so that's fine. So you've got 3 guys you can run the point guard off the bench. Your starting lineup is probably like an 8.59 out of 10. The big reason is Wilt Chamberlain. You should 100% sell your Wilt Chamberlain. And Bam at a buyout. I know he's expensive. I'm not sure if he's more expensive than Wilt. He is way better than Wilt. Wilt is outdated at this stage. Like, Wilt is literally the second prime card out. I'm pretty sure it was out in October. He's just outdated. Gasol and Karl Malone are fine as your centers off the bench. You've actually got no power forwards off the bench. So, yeah, I know you've got Scotty you can play. Scotty's not very good. I'd sell Scotty. I don't think Scotty's good at all. Derek Jones Jr. can't really play the power forward either. I'm trying to think who you could put in. Gerald Wallace is cheaper and better than Derek Jones Jr. First of all, Ja Morant fine. Dwayne Wade. Look, I actually do like the Dwayne Wade card. But you do need another point guard there, because a really good player will just put Wade in pick and rolls. Wade and Gasol in pick and rolls, and just abuse you like that, because Wade doesn't have pick dodger. But offensively, Wade might be the best player around to win the game. Oladipo, I think, is too expensive for what he's worth. So, you could honestly make a better team by selling Oladipo, selling Scotty, selling Derek Jones Jr., there's no need for that Luka either. Keeping Karl Malone, keeping Gasol, keeping Ja, and you could sell those 3 guys by Gerald Wallace, Lance Stevenson. I think Stevenson's like 7 or 8k at the minute, which is a little expensive. But when the market does crash on Friday, tomorrow or Friday, which inevitably will do, he'll be probably down around 5-6k MT again. But still buy a Stevenson. He's still a lot cheaper than Oladipo. And get him at the 2. At the 3, use Gerald Wallace. At the 4, Karl Malone. 5, Marcus Gasol. And his team looks much better. And then putting Bam Adebayo in there. And overall, you probably saved a little bit of MT and made the team much better. But T-Mac, PG, Westbrook, these 3 will be like 10 out of 10, 1, 2, 3. Or a 9.5 at the worst. Then Rudy Gay is very, very good. And then after this card and Dwayne Wade, the team does need a little bit of work. Actually, Carmelo and Gasol are good. The rest of them do need a little bit of work. Okay, so this team right here. Should I upgrade or save MT? Okay. So this team looks very like my No Money Spend squad. Sorry, this team here. I keep zooming in. So there we go. Okay. Westbrook, Drazen, Rudy, Giannis, Gasol, Marbury, Lance, Evo Hito. Hito Turkoglu is not very good until he's fully evoed up. Sell Antoine Walker. He was great at the time. Like, he was great for a while, to be fair. It's just that, I don't know, I just think there are better alternatives. And then Jeremy Lin, Dion Waiters, and Shaq. So, first of all, if you like Giannis, get rid of Walker and put in Jeff Green. You've saved a bunch of MT for a card that's equally as good. Evo Apito Turkoglu, because he's not very good at Amethyst, and then he gets like clamps on the defensive badges when you get him up to Diamond. Marbury's perfectly fine. Stevenson's great. Hito when he's up is great. I put in Jeff Green. Then you've got LaMarcus Aldridge. This team's like another 8 out of 10 team. Another 8 out of 10 team. Like, I wouldn't, like, your point guards are fine. Those 3 point guard rotation is perfect. Your 2 guards of Drazen, Lance, and Dion Waiters, perfectly fine. Your centers, you've got 2 shooting centers. Then you've got 1 mobile big center in Shaq. So your center is fine. Your power forwards, like, there's no, like, apart from Evo and Hito, there's nothing you need to do. But I would Evo Hito and just swap in Walker for Green. And it's not good. You're going to save a little bit of MT and your team's going to get probably slightly better. And I would definitely, it's only 20 steals. Evo him up as soon as you can. If not, just spend the extra like 4 or 5k and sell this card and just buy his diamond. If you don't want to get the 20 steals. But also try to Evo Waiters, because once he's way better once he gets to diamond than he is at amethyst. Okay, so this team right here. Alright, so should I be spending MT right now or wait for new cards to drop? You should always, what I always say is make sure you always have over 100k MT, because you never know what they're going to do with new cards. But you never need more than 100k MT, because any card that is over 100k at this stage is going to drop really quickly. Like, so it's the likes of Gerald Wallace for 10k MT. Those are the type of cards that you need to constantly stock up on. That's why you need around 100k, because you'll make back to 10, 15k. And if you keep stocking up on those like mid-tier cards, by the end of the year, when everything kind of drops, you'll always have a good team. Okay, so Jeremy Lin, Rex Chapman, and Alex Caruso. Your point guard position is fine. Jimmy Butler, Lance Stevenson, Andrew Fields. Your 2 guard is fine. Bam Adebayo, Miles Turner, perfectly fine. I would put an actual big man like a Shaq in here for like 2k MT. Actually, Ben Simmons, Jeff Green, both of them are good. Zion's good. Gerald Wallace is good. Okay, so you know what? Actually, you know what card I would put in? Because I actually think you could afford to play Gerald Wallace a power forward. Actually, you can afford to play Landry Fields to 3. This team's like an 8 out of 10, and for the price, is like an 8.5 out of 10. And if you're looking at the price of this team, you got Bam, who's arguably the best center in the game. You've got Miles Turner, who's 10k, Jeff Green 1k, and Stevenson like 7 or 8k. Jimmy Butler is worth whatever price he is, and Gerald was one of the best value cards in the game. So for its price, it's really good. Yeah, I would just put a big man here, or yeah, a big man here, because if you do need to get, if someone is kind of abusing the fact Simmons can't shoot, you can just push Gerald Wallace to the power forward position and move Landry Fields in. It will be a little bit of a small lineup, but look, it'll be a quick lineup. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, you don't really need to change too much. Like, certain cards, like, I'm not the biggest fan of. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Zion, but I don't think he's a bad card. I'm not the biggest fan of Simmons, but as long as you have an alternative for Simmons, that's perfectly fine. But the rest of your team is really, really good. Okay, so I run 21 delay, pick and pops, driving, kick the shooters. We'll listen to as much as possible, willing to make any changes. Okay, so you know what? This team's fine. Like, this is for the price, I'm going to say it's a 9 out of 10. Honestly, you cannot get much better than this for this price. Like, there's any upgrade on West, like, the only card that I think is a significant upgrade on Westbrook is like LeBron or Rose, who are 5 times the price. Like, I don't think anyone's a significant upgrade on Drazen, except for maybe T-Mac. Exact same with Lance Stevenson. Pierce and Bridges are both fantastic. Malone and Green are fantastic. Gasol and Aldridge, both great shooting bigs. I'd just fill out the last 3 on the bench. And you'd, like, if you are worried about the overall, I mean, like, you don't even need to fill out the last 3 on the bench with anyone spectacular. It's just, there are a couple of, like, guys for certain situations where they would help to have. Like, You got 2 shooting bigs, but you don't have a like kind of clamps big for switching on screens. So again, someone like a Shaq would be good as one of the last 3. Actually, no, you can actually pull Carmelo to the power forward. So a stretch 4 actually I think would be or stretch 4 would be nice as well. Be something a little bit different from Carmelo, like a 3 that can play the 4. So like a Gerald Wallace would be perfect to add into the squad, just even as one of your last 3 off the bench. Always a third point guard, but your stamina is a little bit of an issue. Evoing up a Jeremy Lin would be perfect, or like an Alex Caruso for 2K. Again, your last 3 off the bench, you don't need to play them, so you can go some lower overall players. And then I don't know, if you're struggling shooting wise, just throw in a Klay Thompson. He's a Ruby and 1 KMT, so you can't go around with that. But overall, this team's like, this is a 9 out of 10 team, straight up. And for its price, you cannot get much better. So run pick and pop and roll, like to play good defense and run the fast break. Was going to replace DeMar with Brandon Roy. So obviously, if you have Brandon Roy, do you have Brandon Roy? Okay, you need Rick Barry. If you have Brandon Roy, replace DeMar, because I didn't realize this. DeMar doesn't have quick first step, and that is a big problem. Russell Westbrook, he is good. Your 3-point guard situation is fine with Westbrook, Marbury, and Billups. I know he's gone down in price, so today might not be the best day for it, but I don't think Vince Carter's worth the MT. Kawhi Leonard, unless you've locked in Kawhi Leonard, sell. He is not worth the MT. I'm telling you that for a fact. Kawhi Leonard is no better than Miles Bridges, and he's way more expensive. Giannis, perfectly fine. Bam, Marc Gasol are perfectly fine to have. You already have Jeff Green. Jeff Green is straight up better than Blake Griffin, in my opinion. So if you can sell DeMar, you're getting 50, 60k. You sell Kawhi, I don't know what Kawhi is going for, but combined they're at least probably 120k. You've got extra 120k, and you replace those guys with Lance and Gerald Wallace or Miles Bridges, and your team is the exact same, equally as good, maybe a little bit better, and you have saved like 100k MT. So that's what I would 100% do. And other than that, I would get rid of one of Jeff Green or Ben Simmons, whichever one you prefer, and keep, because they play way too similar, and there's no point having 2 similar players as 2 of your last 3 off the bench. And I replace them with, I don't know, like a kind of a big shot block center, like a Shaq or a Miles Turner, or a Carmelo wouldn't really work, because you've got a couple of mobile centers, because Marc Gasol is actually very mobile at Pink Diamond. But yeah, that's the only thing. It's like, it's not going to upgrade your team much, but it's going to I'll make it a lot cheaper. But overall, this is like an 8.5 out of 10. So, rate my team. No particular type of offense. Willing to sell anyone if necessary. Budget is 75k. Okay, let me have a look at this team right here. Point guards, Marbury, Chapman, Lin, perfectly fine. Really good, actually. Brandon Roy, Buddy Hield, and well, basically Marbury's your 2 guards. Your 2 guard position's fine. Rudy, Jason Tatum, Gerald Wallace, that's fine. Aaron Gordon. You know what? I can't make many suggestions. I don't like Jokic, but you have Aldridge. This is a 9.5 out of 10 team. And I genuinely cannot make any suggestions within your price range to make your team better. Like, the only way you can get, there's some players that might make a slight difference for the price, like upgrading Rudy to Paul George. You could probably sell him with your MT and buy Paul George, and that's only a tiny bit of an upgrade, which is 100% not worth even going for. So honestly, to get a significant upgrade on this team, you're going to be spending millions of MT. So like, honestly, I'm just looking at this being like, this is a 9.5 out of 10. Like, not quite 10 out of 10, but to make you can't make any significant improvements without breaking the bank. That might change tomorrow or Friday when new packs come out, but as of right now, look, you can't get much better. And any upgrades are going to be like really minor upgrades. Like, you can maybe downgrade players to get some MT, but I wouldn't even suggest doing that. Like, obviously, you guys might be saying, like, where, like, I'd suggest Lance Stevenson, but Buddy Hield's so good that I wouldn't necessarily even suggest downgrading him because of how good Buddy is. So this team's fantastic. Okay, so use 13 heat playbook and have 300k MT. Alright, so first of all, you may as well use your last 3 on the bench, because 13-man rotations do help a lot, in my opinion. Marbury, Simmons, as one of your last 3 on the bench, make sure you have a second shooting point guard, because sometimes a non-shooting point guard can be a liability. Sometimes if your opponent can't really guard it, it's a great thing to have Simmons. Sometimes he can be a liability. Roy and Levine, perfectly fine to run as your 2 guards. They're both exceptional. Richard Jefferson, Pierce, perfectly fine. Again, I would make sure you have a clamps player as one of your last 3 off the bench for power forward, like even a Jeff Green or something, because he's not going to cost you much MT and he's still going to keep the overall down. I'm trying to think of some low overall players that are cheap, so Caruso, Jeff Green, and then your center positions are fine. So like, this team's again another solid like 8.5 out of 10. Again, like, it's an 8 out of 10, but putting in 3 guys at the end of your bench to fill in a role could make it like an 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, this is it for the video. Pretty good team. So like, all of these cards are good. Like, all these teams are good. Like, you guys are getting better and better at this. Like, nearly all these teams, except for the one with Harden. And that was really, like, the only reason that's a bad team is because the guy obviously is a big James Harden fan and doesn't want to get rid of that card because, again, he's a Harden fan, which is, that's perfectly fine. Like, there's a lot of people that for the game mode would rather like want to just play with their favorite players, and that's a perfectly good way of playing the game mode. And it's perfectly fine. I'm not going to tell someone that's wrong, or I'm not going to, like, I'm going to make suggestions based on purely gameplay wise, but look, if you want to keep a specific player because he's your favorite player, I'll tell you if it's going to harm you gameplay wise, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. So apart from that guy's squad, who's that only wasn't great because he wants to use his favorite player in real life, which is perfectly fine. The rest of these are really good squads. So yeah, that's pretty much it. An overall good episode of this. Nearly all these squads are good. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.